In this next lesson, we're going to take a look at how to process customer returns in X3. Sometimes these customer returns are also referred to as RMAs, or return material authorizations. So to do a return, we're going to start by coming under the sales menu, then to returns, then here to customer return. We're going to choose the full entry transaction. In here on the returns menu, we're going to start by clicking on the new button. We'll first start off by specifying the receiving site to which the goods will ultimately be returned to. We have our return type, our return date. Here's where we specify our customer's account number. Okay. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to come over to this tray on the left list titled Delivery Selection. In X3, ideally when we process a customer return, we wish to marry that return to the original delivery record that the goods were shipped out upon, in the interest of being able to capture all the proper costing, and ultimately when we do the credit memo associated with the return, we want the original pricing from the sales invoice to flow through. So over here in this delivery selection tray, this is going to basically be a register of all shipments that have been generated in the system. So to kind of skinny down this list to your target shipment, what we can do is we can come over to this options menu, then come down to selection criteria. Then here in this selection criteria menu, we can go ahead and, if you know like the product that the customer wishes to return, we can specify that there. If you know that this was a delivery that's been made, say, within the last month, you can specify a delivery start date. If you knew the original delivery number that it went out upon, you can specify that. So when we go ahead and specify all these factors, we can come over here and click on OK. Then that will serve to, like I said, whittle down this list just to the the original deliveries that match that criteria. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select the product to be returned. And when I do so, that's going to go ahead and load my grid down here with all the product details. So in this case, I have an expected return quantity. Okay, so you could update this if it's something less than the what the full delivery went out for. Then adjacent to it, this is where we come to specify our return quantity when we actually get the goods back from the customer. So when we're initially issuing the customer return, or the return material authorization, we're going to go ahead and set that return quantity to 0. Then we can come over here and click on the create button. When we do our create, that's going to specify the return number. If we want to provide the customer with some paperwork that they can associate with the return, we can come over and do our print icon, then to record. Once our report parameter screen pops up, we'll go ahead and click on the print button. Here's the copy of the return slip that you can provide to your customer, containing the RMA number, the product to be returned, and the original delivery number. So that's sent out to the client. Now at the point that we actually get the goods back from the customer, what the warehouse person is going to do who registered the return, they're going to come in here back into the customer returns and basically pull up the return. Then here in the return quantity field, this is where we can come to specify the number of units we actually got back. So in this case, let's say that we expected to get the full 100 units back, but in actuality we only got 95. We can update that accordingly in this return quantity field. We got the date the inventory was actually brought back into the facility. Okay, we can update that accordingly. Here in the update stock field, this is where we can come to indicate whether or not we're going to get the inventory, or if we're going to reintroduce this inventory into stock. if the goods are in a poor condition and we don't want to reload it into the inventory, you can always set that to no. Many organizations, though, they'll follow a practice where they'll always just leave this update stock field set to yes. Then the quality control team will make a determination as to whether or not it should be issued out. In this next field, we'll go ahead and specify a return reason. So this is linked to miscellaneous table 7, so you can come up with your own user-defined list of return reasons. In this case here, we're going to indicate that it was a defect. We got the inventory being brought back into stock into queue status. Here's the location that the goods are going to be returned into. Then in this credit memo field here, we can go ahead and set that to yes if our expectation is that we're going to subsequently issue a credit memo to the customer for the return. Okay. At this point, we can go ahead and click on the Save button. And upon saving the return, this is going to go ahead and register the return and also update our inventory. If you desire to print out a label to affix to your return goods, you can go ahead and do so at this menu by specifying the label code and the destination. Okay, so those are the basics behind registering a return of a product. Now next, let's go ahead and take a look at some inquiries associated with the returns. So I can go ahead and close page here. Then under our sales menu, we're going to come down to inquiries, then here to returns. Under this list, we have the list of returns. We have return lines, which will provide us with the product details of what was returned into stock, as well as this return reason hit list. On our return reason hit list, if we go ahead and open this, we can go ahead and specify our company, and we can specify the date range over which we want to inquire. Okay, down here there's the different types of deliveries that you can filter upon. And I can come over here and click the OK button. And that'll give me my graph here. So looks like we have some returns due to nonconformance, some due to late delivery, and a small proportion here due to defects. So again, you can go ahead and change those date filters as you have need. If you want to see the information in a list format, if you come over and click on this action button, you can go ahead and click on the show list, and that'll give you the breakout on that basis. Alrighty, so that is one of the return inquiries that we have. Next, let's also take a look at some of the return reports that are in the system. So we'll close page here and close page. And we're going to come down under our printouts, then under sales. So we're going to come under our sales to our lists option. And under list here, you're going to see that there's 3 different crystal reports relating to the returns. These 2 sales return lists, which kind of gives us the global view of the returns. Then we also have this detail one that will give us the product details that's being returned. So that's the S return L. So on this report, you can go ahead and do your filter based upon your company specification. You can filter on a date range, a warehousing site. We can go ahead and do breaks based upon the site. So we go ahead and specify our report parameters, come over and click on print. Then that in part's going to render this crystal report for us. And again, it's got your return details, the return number, the product that's being returned, its respective quantities are going to be listed herein, and whether or not the goods have been brought back into stock. Okay, so that is the return process, issuing the original RMA, recording the return back into the warehouse, as well as some inquiries and crystal reports that you have at your disposal. In our next lesson, we're going to take a look at how to next issue the credit memos against these returns that are brought back in.